Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. Yesterday was all about how to be massively successful in real estate as an introvert. And today we're going to be telling you guys how to be massively successful as an extrovert. And by the way, extroverts, yes, you do have and oftentimes will always have a slight advantage when it comes to sales because you like people, because you're not afraid, generally speaking, to approach folks, even if you don't have a script or a system. But I have news for you. You are massively limiting your potential without teaching yourself to be more of a, wait for it, introvert. So we're going to give you some exact notes and some actual action plans on today's podcast. And remember, today's podcast, as every day's podcast, is sponsored by Premier Coaching. It is the next natural step for all of you in your real estate careers. And amazing news for all of you. Our ethical real estate professional designation is officially included with Premier Coaching. We have worked on the upgrade. We're about to officially launch Premier Coaching 2.0, probably this week, if not next week. But in the meantime, go to premiercoaching.com and join Premier Coaching right away. And you can join for free. There's absolutely no risk to you. And by the way, yes, that does include a daily semi-private coaching call with one of our Harris certified coaches. So starting today, potentially, when you're depending on when you're listening, you could actually log on right now and be in a mastermind with one of our Harris certified coaches, learning all the Premier Coaching system. You might have a listing presentation this weekend. Do you actually have a pre-listing pack? Did you pre-qualify the seller? Do you have our scripts? Do you have our pre-listing pack? Do you know actually how to win that listing? Well, that's one of the many, 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 many things we teach you to do in Premier Coaching. Don't wait until you need it. You have to join Premier Coaching now. That way, when you do need one of our scripts, you'll have already memorized it, or you'll have at least have already internalized it so you can win that sale. You have to be taking action, be proactive, because we're just at the start of the year, but let's work together to make this your best year ever. So go to premiercoaching.com or scroll down below and click the link now to join Premier Coaching. Go ahead and do that now. It's right below. Join Premier Coaching if you're on YouTube, if you're on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. All the things, all the places, Premier Coaching link is waiting for you in the show description. So, Julie, let's talk about extroverts.
That's right. So today, real estate success for you extroverts. Maximize your mojo, but minimize your mistakes or missteps. We talked a lot about this yesterday, but how do you know if you're an introvert or an extrovert? The simple test is this. When you are around lots of people, say at a party or a real estate event, and you go home after the party, do you feel like your battery has been charged or do you feel drained? If you feel charged up by being around all of those people, you're an extrovert. But if you're drained, then you're an introvert. Neither is better or worse, but each has its strengths and weaknesses, especially in business. So today, we're talking about extroverts and how you can thrive in real estate.
And don't forget, if you want to take our free DISC profile test, just go to agentdisc, DISC, agentdisc.com. And when you do so, you can actually know your personality style. As we warned you yesterday, and warning is the right word, this is pseudoscience. So do not hang your hat too much on the output of any DISC or personality Myers-Briggs test. It does not really preordain you or is not a good future indicator of any of your successes. So you can maximize your potential in real estate and in life by essentially learning about the nuanced differences between people. And that's really what the whole point of the DISC stuff is, at least how Julie and I present it. We are not saying because you're an extrovert, you're only good and only going to be good at being a salesperson. You could be a fantastic extroverted nurse, which in that role would normally be reserved for people that are amiable or analytical. Or if you're an analytical person and you took one of these personality profile tests and it said you should be in a supportive role, you should be the nurse, and you definitely never want to actually be, you're never going to be a CEO. You don't have the CEO type personality and all this other Mickey Mouse. Well, you can set that aside too, because that stuff is all pseudoscience. Pseudoscience is a nice way of saying it's kind of fake. All right. So I'm saying all this to you because you have to understand, you have to frame out what this personality stuff actually is. It's a nice basis for forcing you to be introspective about your innate strengths and weaknesses as it relates to other people, and creates the framework for you to become more versatile. And that's our approach to it after having done literally millions and millions of coaching sessions about this.
Thank you for reminding that it is a guide, not a diagnosis.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So that said, extroverts come in a lot of varieties, but primarily are either amiable or influencer types. Amiable extroverts are very family and friend-oriented, caregiving and nurturing. They're people. They're often teachers, nurses, customer service, working in hospitality, or another similar people-oriented field. Now, the more influencer or expressive types of extroverts are also people-oriented, but tend to focus more on themselves. They're the life of the party. They're the entertainer, the leader of their friend group, and they tend to have lots and lots of friends.
Now, they're good to know if you're an introvert. You listened yesterday for you introverted types. Those are fantastic people to have as friends because you're not necessarily going to be the best in big social settings. But if you're friends with a really effective extrovert, you can show up and that person's going to introduce you to everybody. So if your natural go-to is being a wallflower or having one conversation with one person for the whole damn party, buddy up to some extroverts, get to be friends with them, and you make that a goal. And then when you're at those social events, be their sidekick, and you will get to know so many more people than you otherwise would have. I mean, that's frankly Julie and I's strategy when we go to parties.
It works really well, and you will expand your friend pool very quickly that way. I think of our friend Keith. We've been to car events with him virtually all over the world. We could be anywhere, and he knows everyone.
Right.
I don't know how he does that, but I know that you've expanded the guys that you know, just even in the car world, but Keith knows everybody. It does make your life as an introvert a lot easier if you hang out with extroverts.
Well, find the person at the gym. Let's say you're following our suggestion and you're starting and you're going to stick to, say, going to an organized fitness thing like Orange Theory or something like that. There's going to be an extrovert that's going to be, part of that, workout group that you're going to be assigned to. Find out who that person is, get to be friends with them, because that person's mission in life is to be friends with everybody. They can't help themselves. And so you're going to get essentially the benefits of their natural personality. So they almost act as your own personal sales team for you. So you got to put all these things. And now I have to say, if you're an extrovert, you want to be friends with introverts because they can kind of fill in the gaps with some of these relationships that you might have. They might give a little bit more validity, like Julie used Keith as an example. I mean, Keith will reference me all the time when it comes to real estate things or other things that are more in my wheelhouse, because he is, frankly, not that, he doesn't want to be that mired into some of the, deep dive information that I have in my head. So these are all different strategies that you guys can do to become more versatile when you're trying to, expand your reach to the people in life that you can help, thus the money you can make.
Very well said. All right, we're going to do extrovert points. Number one, you guys, who if you're extroverted, have an advantage in real estate, at least a small advantage, because your center of influence tends to be vast. You have lots of friends. You entertain. You're a connector, just like Tim was talking about Keith. If that's you, your secret power is to harness those relationships, to talk about real estate all the time, communicate regularly, talk about what you're doing in business, and ask for a business. Point number two, extroverts are generally naturally confident, but be wary of this because being overly confident can be perceived as arrogance. Prospects can be turned off to you because they'll think you assume that they'll work with you. After all, you're friends, so be just as professional with friends as you are with people who don't already know, love, and trust you. I'll give you an example that we see time and time again in coaching. It is the agent who goes to a listing presentation with a friend and is really assumptive that because they're friends, they're just going to walk away with the business.
You mean the seller's their friend?
The seller's their friend. They think they've got it in the bag. I don't need to present like I would to a stranger. I'm not going to bother sending my pre-listing package. I'm just going to ask them to sign. I'm going to assume that I've got it. And guess what? They get a call the next day or the next week that person decided to go with somebody who maybe isn't even a friend, but treated them with more professionalism.
Well, but also that could be, we're saying, amiable people make the same mistake too.
Yeah.
They'll show up basically and they'll rely too heavily on the fact that the person's a center of influence and past client
They're
type.
assumptive, yeah.
And they didn't pre-qualify. They didn't ask any tough questions because they didn't want to make their center of influence past client seller lead uncomfortable. And then they end up having their ass handed to them by somebody, frankly, that followed our 7-step listing process that really was able to be more versatile, identify what the personality profile is of the person they're presenting to. Let's say I'm, bounce off the walls, expressive person. person, and I'm going to be presenting to somebody who's not. They're, an accountant. If I show up in bright colored clothes, first of all, if I show up late, if I'm too loud, if I'm too demonstrative, if I have too many body motions, swinging my arms around everywhere,
Talking with your hands.
Talking with my hands, right? If I'm dressed too loudly, if I'm not asking questions, if I'm talking too fast, all these things. So what the point is that your mission in life, so you can be of service to more people and be more in alignment with your highest and truest purpose, which is being of service to other people. As a real estate practitioner, you're going to have to learn to be more versatile. Find out when you're pre-qualifying what those potential sellers or those buyers do for a living. And so we're going to lead into those points, because then when you are deciding that you're the extrovert and you're presenting to an introvert, you need to change your approach. And that we teach you to do that in our Premier Coaching Program. And by the way, if you're going on a listing appointment this weekend, our pre-listing pack is designed specifically to appeal to all 4 personality types equally. That's why we've always revised it. And the new Premier Coaching 2.0 is going to have the newest version of that, so that when you are sending your pre-listing pack over to somebody who's very analytical, they are going to love it. If you're sending it over to somebody who's amiable, they're going to love it. Expressive, driver, it doesn't matter. You're able to essentially have an approach that's going to be appealing to everybody, no matter what their innate nature is. Whereas right now, if you're not willing to be versatile, you're running people off.
Inadvertently, yes, but running off nonetheless. Okay, so you mentioned this. You talked about this for a second. Number 3, extroverts do tend to talk a lot. Let your clients, or potentially clients, your prospects, talk more than you do, and listen to what they're saying. Take notes so you remember what's most important to them, and train yourself to be fascinated by them. Point number 4.
Well, again, yeah. Julie, it's important because you just said train yourself to be fascinated by them.
Yes.
I promise you, there are people out there right now, they're saying, oh, I have to fake it. Yes, you do. You have to fake it.
In this case.
You're going to have to read our pre-qualification scripts, and you're going to have to ask them questions. And whatever you do, your mission in life, all of our extrovert clients, is to get out of the habit of talking about yourself. If there's one takeaway from today's podcast, if you really want to learn how to be more appealing to more people, extroverts, you need to listen to Julie's previous point and learn to ask really good questions, and then don't just respond with what your experience was, or I had something just like that happen, or because people can intuitively feel when you're just waiting for them to finish talking so you can fire hose them with whatever your damn story is. That is not going to be a good life strategy, especially if you want to be successful selling stuff, houses, listings. Got it?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because you made me think of a lot of not coaching calls, but prospecting calls that coaching clients send me to listen to. And that is one of the number one mistakes that I hear the more extroverted clients making, is exactly what you said. You can feel the tension that they're waiting for what to say next. And sometimes they'll actually say, well, that's just like the time that right? It's not just the time that it's not about you, right?
Don't try to bond with them by finding things in common. That's, a strategy when you're in elementary school. Oh, you like roadblocks and so do I. Let's play roadblocks.
Yeah.
But when you're an adult, your strategy is to ask questions, listen to the answer, and then ask questions based on what they just said, and do not talk about yourself. Remove personal pronouns from everything you always say. And Julie's about to smack me because I'm stepping on her points.
That is actually the next point. You read my mind as usual. Don't make it about you all the time by removing the words I, me, my, and mine from your speech, at least most of the time, so that your ego is in check. Lead with expertise, professionalism, attention to detail, and leadership rather than relying solely on your personality.
By the way, it's good to I am a truth teller when it comes to a lot of the pseudoscience stuff, because I hate how dogmatic it's become in our society. Ego is another fake thing made up by Freud, not real. There is no ego, but it's a good understanding. And what does Julie mean by ego? People that display tendencies to talk all about themselves. We can talk about narcissism and all this other pseudoscience stuff. But here's what I want your big takeaway to be. What is everyone's favorite topic? It's themselves. What does everyone want more than anything else? They want somebody to listen to their favorite topic, which is themselves, right? Everybody wants to talk about their story, their experience. And if you train yourself to be a good listener and a good asker of questions and a good follow-upper, where you never have the opportunity to talk about yourself. You're not being rude. There's no societal, I know there's a perceived societal norm that people are supposed to share information, like information with like information. Oh, where are you from? You're from Columbus, Ohio. Oh, and then now it's their turn to say where they're from. People that you're talking to, that isn't the experience that they ideally want to have. They want to tell you more about where they're from, and you're going to need to ask more questions. When did you move from there?
Tell me more about that.
Is your family right? Exactly. Mm-hmm. And then when they say something, and again, we teach you to do this in Premier Coaching. Say things like, "Interesting. That's fascinating. Can you tell me more about that?" And let them talk.
And listen to what they say.
Listen to what they say.
What's interesting, Tim, is I've had so many coaching clients, and I know that you have too, that say when they come off of especially a listing presentation, especially when they have been competing, that new client will say, "You're the only one who listened to me.
Yep.
You're the only one who seemed to care about my situation," right? This is one of the things, of many things that we teach them in coaching.
But Jules, think how opposite.
Basic.
Think how opposite this is, not just of sort of this narcissistic, look at me, Instagram, social media, I'm the center of everything, influencer vibe. I used a kid's word. I learned that from Zoe, by the way, that is basically very pervasive in society. Think how opposite of what we're trying to teach them.
Then you have to show up to an appointment and be fascinated by somebody. And remember, you are at that appointment to solve their real estate problem.
But our whole entire system is designed with some of this fundamental, these things that we're teaching you. That's the reason when you read our scripts are designed, have built into them the understanding that people really don't want to hear about you. Our questions, which is what our scripts are, they're just questions, are all built around the fundamental psychological need for people to talk about themselves. And that's really the essence of everything we're doing. We call it a pre-qualifying script, but really truly what it is, it's the opportunity to let the buyer or the seller talk about themselves script. And you're asking questions. So ideally, how soon do you want to be in your next home? Or, if I were to show you a home that, meets all of your criteria, right location, right price, let's say it's an 8 out of 10 about all the things you're looking for. On a scale 1 to 10, with obviously 10 being the most, where would you rate your motivation to buy that house today? And they're going to say what they're going to say. I'm a 7 or I'm a 6 or hopefully they say a 10. Oh, you're a 7. That's interesting. Tell me more about that. What would it take to get you to a 10? And that's what it's all about. That's what high-level communication, especially in a sales arena, which is you are salespeople. And by the way, everyone on planet Earth is a salesperson. If you don't believe me, you guys need to hang out with Julie and I and Zoe anytime. She's always trying to sell us something. Sell us into, something she doesn't want to do, or sell us something that she does want to do. Kids are the best salespeople, right? So all of us are salespeople. If you're, Julie and I just had some procedures on our eyes. We had new lenses installed. And so that doctor had to sell us into using him because he has competitors. So you're thinking, well, a teacher's not a salesperson. The hell they're not. Good ones are. They have to sell the kids on learning what the worst teachers are the ones that obviously have no sales skills. Every single successful person on planet Earth is a salesperson. And I'm even going to go and I'm going to share this with you guys, and I hope you internalize this. The most successful people in the history of humanity have always been salespeople. Yes, I'm including Jesus Christ. Yes, I'm including any religious figure. Yes, I'm including anybody that you have lionized in your mind of being so transcendental that they're so vastly beyond being a mere salesperson. In order for them to transcend, in order for them to have people listen to them and care about what they had to say, they had to be salespeople. They had to deliver their message in a way that other people would want to listen. They had to themselves become people that people wanted to listen to. You guys getting what I'm saying here? So you are a salesperson. Your mission in life is to be the best version of your salesperson as yourself, as a real estate salesperson. And the beauty of that is that you are selling something that everyone needs in their lives. You're not trying to sell them another set of Ginsu knives. You're trying to sell them the fulfillment of an innate need that all of us have. So you are blessed if you allow yourself to be, if you embrace the fact that your highest and truest purpose on this planet is to be of service to other people, and in this case, those people are real estate clients. And then how do you do it? You learn what we're teaching you. You embrace the fact that you're a salesperson. You use scripts. You use objection handlers. You use a system. You use a pre-listing pack. You don't make everything about yourself. You don't show up at a seller's house, which is typically what an expressive person will do, and the whole damn presentation is a smattering of garbage that basically isn't coherent. That's all about them. Here are my awards. Here's my plaque. Oh, here's pictures of me getting my awards and my plaque. Okay, here's my golden retriever. Here's my golden retriever getting an award and a plaque.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. You guys get it? They don't care. They want you to show sincere interest in them. If you don't know how to show sincere interest in them, follow our scripts, because those questions will walk you through the educational process that you will need to, the bridges you'll have to build between the all about me type of approach you have had in life to the all about them. That's what everyone wants in life. That's what you want in life. You want people to show sincere interest in you. In order for you to do that and for you to earn the right to be of service to other people, you have to follow some of this tutelage that hopefully we're passing along to you.
Yes, getting back to versatility, your ability to meet them where they are instead of expecting them to just pay attention to your stories and the all about you part.
And you know what? They don't care about you unless you can actually solve their problem.
That's right. Your personality in some cases may get you in the door, but it won't secure you your business, their business in every case.
Right. I mean, as soon as you go past the lowest hanging fruit on your tree of centers of your mom, basically, or your brother, right?
Your best friend.
As soon as you start climbing up higher on the tree and you have to start competing, you have to learn skills. Otherwise, you will fail. And one of the biggest reasons that agents fail out of the business is because they don't want to learn the skills. They think they can become influencers and buy marketing and branding and advertising, and somehow that's going to make people call them. In some cases it does, but then when they call you, what's the experience? I'm guessing the ball's getting dropped and they're choosing not to do business with you. You guys understanding what we're trying to deliver to you? Be in alignment with your highest and truest purpose.
And this is all learnable. All right, number 5, be careful not to overreact or be emotional in front of your client. If you are an extrovert, you tend to wear your emotions on your sleeve, or more accurately, on your face, your demeanor. Don't lose your marbles if you hear no. If you lose a deal, you have a conflict with another agent, there's always a solution. I do find the extroverted types are more likely to have that overreaction, that emotional, oh my gosh, the high ups and downs.
But they think that's their role.
Yes, that's right.
They think when they're presenting something, seller, you're listing and there's an unsatisfactory conditions thing, they're going to make it all about the extroverted, non-versatile agent's going to make it all about them. I'm going to go after that other agent. We're going to blah, 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 blah. A big old mess of emotions.
Yuck.
Which is what service are you doing on that seller? You're not. You're just essentially, it's gratuitous. It's you being unconsciously incompetent of what your client really wants, which is just to have the problem solved. They don't want your whole song and dance. You're not going to win, an award for your over dramatization of problems. And that, by the way, is not the reason. Agents are supposed to remove problems and remove stress, not add to them. And some of you guys are still screwed up in your head about the amount of money you're earning, frankly.
Especially now.
And you think that you're supposed to bring drama in order to justify your commission. You might mentally not think that, but behaviorally, that's the reason that especially the expressive types, that you are way OTT when it comes to your reactions to things around your clients, because you're trying to make a simple problem into some big dramatic problem that you're going to solve.
Yeah, so that you can be the hero, right? It actually creates a lot more stress, especially for clients who are not like you in that sense. And if you happen to have another non-versatile extroverted agent on the other side of the deal, well, then that deal is probably going to die.
Yeah.
So there's that. All right. Extroverts tend to wear themselves out trying to be everything and everywhere to everyone all the time. So take time to refill the cup. In most cases, you won't see it coming until you're actually burned out. I see that with coaching clients a lot. But self-monitor. Don't party the night before, then go to a listing appointment the next morning. Plan so that you can be your best self with your prospects and your clients.
Well, encapsulate that, Julie. Show emotions without being emotional, right?
That's right.
I mean, so that's a good lesson for everyone, but especially amiable sorts, okay? And you'll know more about this if you ever study DISC. Again, your job as a real estate professional, as a professional period, is to show emotion without being emotional. And that little piece of advice I just gave you can, frankly, save your career. If you think your job is to absorb all the stress that your clients are experiencing as they transact. Some cases people are, doing real estate deals involuntarily. Maybe someone passed away. Maybe something horrible's happened in their lives. And if you're internalizing all of that, if you're making their stress your stress, if you're becoming the sponge for all this emotion, you're not only not going to have any energy left over for yourself and your loved ones, but you will burn the candle at both ends, and you'll not understand. You may have closed 3 deals, but it felt like you closed 3,000 deals. It's because you did not understand that your job is to show emotion because you want to show empathy and sympathy, and maybe that's how you actually feel, but do not be emotional. Do not make it your problem. So you have to learn what to say. I'm so sorry this is happening to you right now. I was just talking with Julie about the situation you guys have, and it really breaks our heart that you're experiencing this right now. But let's move forward so we can put this problem behind you, and then you future pace them. Then you get them to start thinking about what happens after the problem is solved. We teach you guys how to do this in coaching.
Our last point today, lead with questions. You talked about this earlier, Tim. Lead with more questions versus statements. Ask what's most important to their prospects and clients versus assuming that you already know. Scripts are your friend with this because why? As Tim said, scripts are simply questions. The scripts are going to keep you on track and focused on providing the best service to your clients. They're going to help you draw out what is the most important thing to them so that you can make sure that you deliver that important thing.
Okay, so you opened your schedule up and you asked me to ask you about elite coaching. And I know you told me, you mentioned it before I hit the record button today, that you want to possibly, you're encouraging a small handful of people who want to be in your personal schedule. You tell me what you're looking for and you tell me the profile. And,
sure.
And if they're listening after 30 minutes, those are going to be your best potential clients. But
Yeah.
I want you to now this is not for Premier Coaching. Premier Coaching is our program where everyone can join. We make it, obviously you guys can join for free. There's semi-private coaching calls, those types of things. Some of you are looking for the next level, or actually, frankly, the level after that, the level after that, the level after that, right? You're looking for someone who's been there, done that, who's built many successful businesses, who's become decamillionaire, who's, essentially up the mountain, down the mountain, and always looking for the next mountain to climb. Okay, if that's you, listen right now. So tell us the profile of your most successful clients.
Yes, well, first of all, since it's the top of their mind, we've just done 2 podcasts about extroverts, introverts. I do not care what personality style you are. I care that you're going to work on your versatility. I care that you're focused, that you have specific goals that you want to accomplish. Many times I have clients that seem to be stuck at some level of production if you want to get unstuck, but you need to be willing to do the work and be coachable. So I have lots of different profiles of coaching clients. Sometimes they're relocating. Sometimes my latest coaching client is doing great volume, great transactions, but wants to have a life.
But Julie, give up actual profile. There are characteristics. You tell me. You talk to me about your coaching calls. It's someone who's been in the business for a while.
Not a flat out newbie, right?
Yeah, not a newbie.
Yep.
It's because, frankly, you're expensive.
Yes.
Okay. Number 2, there's somebody who is in production.
Yes.
They have usually most of their systems are about 30 to 50% functional. And,
right.
They're looking for outside encouragement on how to get them the next level. Virtually none of them have their acts together as far as building long-term sustainable wealth.
Yes,
those are characteristics.
predictable. Their desires tend to be to have better predictability and duplicatability. Oftentimes they have 2 or 3 really good lead sources, but they know they need more to get to the next level and to be more consistent and more duplicatable. I tend to have clients that do have more experience that are looking for bigger, better, more exciting goals and know that they can increase their real estate skills, systems, and volume to get to those bigger, better, more exciting goals. That's fairly typical.
They've been in the business typically. I don't know if you off the top of your head can think of this.
I mean, my typical coaching client is like at least 10 years in the business. Most of them are 15 to 20 years in the business.
And again, Julie's expensive. So that's probably the reason why, is this somebody who is already doing, okay, well, maybe you know this off the top of your head. Mm-hmm. If you had to guess, and if you don't know the answer, don't guess.
Tell me.
What do you think the average GCI is of one of your personal clients?
Average? Average is probably 750 to $1 million.
750 to $1 million. And
some of them more.
And you have some of them that are doing 4 to 5 million.
Yes.
Yeah, in GCI.
Yeah.
All right. So how many clients do you want?
No more than 5.
Okay. So
and by the way, I do seem to specialize in husband and wife teams. You don't have to have a big team.
Right.
I don't care if you do have a big team. It can be a single agent. A family team, husband and wife. I've got a couple that are parents and kids.
But you're looking to have 5 new clients in addition to your existing ones.
Yes.
You had 2 retire successfully.
Yep.
You had 2 clients.
Go,
that started,
you guys.
You had
Yep.
2 clients that started with her a long time ago. That their whole goal was to get up to what was one of them wanted to. I won't mention names, okay, because you're giving me a look.
Yeah.
I won't promise I won't mention names.
That's okay.
But this person's, not gendering them, goal was to move to Florida.
Yep.
And they are moving to Florida with like $10 million. And you'd been with them for a long time, helping them to build up the, the savings and the transactional whatever.
I have another one in the Midwest that's semi-retiring.
And their whole goal was to basically be able to retire and live off dividends, and you help them set all that up.
Which, by the way, listeners, is certainly doable by each and every single one of you.
Yep.
So, that might be your goal. As I said before, sometimes I have people that their spouse relocates and they need to rebuild a real estate practice where they have the skill, but they're in a new market, so they have to work on building their center of influence. Lots of different types of profiles. But if you're interested and you're willing to work and be focused and move yourself forward, you do have coaching homework every week that's based on your goals, then let's talk. And they can text me directly. They don't necessarily have to go through you.
You're so lousy on text, though. You sure
No,
you
I'm
want
not. No, I'm good.
You really want him texting you?
Sure.
As in on your text?
Yes,
So are you
as in
saying
on
now
my
you're
text.
just ignoring my text? Is that really what
It
we're
could be. Maybe you've discovered that. I
Oh,
don't know.
no.
Maybe
All right,
we have
so
a filter.
then give me your cell phone number.
It's 512-758-1008. 512-758-1008. But don't text me if your text is going to be, okay, I'm not sure, but just coach me. You need to be focused. You need to have some goals in mind. You need to be willing to work. And you need to have at least, some volume under your belt, ideally. Because if you're, we have a lot of brand new or newer agents
But those are premier.
Those are premier coaching
but
clients, and
Jill-
that's okay.
Listen, we're not trying to, if you, I don't know how to say this.
I don't want to sound snobby about it. I'm
Exactly.
saying, right,
Julie's
yeah.
expensive. I've said it 3
Yeah.
times now. And so don't be embarrassed if you can't afford to, have what Inman's called the, nation's #1 real estate coach as your own private coach. Work up to it.
And you all can afford premier coaching.
Yeah,
So-
well, Premier Coaching is a great gateway, but we also have coaches, Harris certified coaches that you can be have as your coach as well. But as far as with Julie, she's got, you heard her say it. She's got 5 spots clients that she's considering. So if you want to be considered to be coached by Julie, she said text her, don't call. By the way, Julie and I, our phones automatically roll to voicemail, so never try to call us.
Because we're either on a podcast or talking to one of you on a coaching call.
Exactly. So text her at 512-758-1008. This is the first time she's ever given her cell phone out on a podcast.
Yep.
So you're like 12,000, 15,000 people are now going to have your cell phone. But
It's all right.
512-758-1008. Do not call. And when you text her, obviously your name, your information, and give as much information as you feel comfortable talking about your career, talking about your situation. And if she sees that you're somebody who probably isn't going to be a good fit for her for a variety of reasons, then what she'll do is she'll connect you with one of our Harris certified coaches who might be
Totally
a better
fine.
fit. Yeah. So
totally
don't
fine.
worry about it. Don't think, I don't know if Julie will take me. Send her a text.
We'll talk.
And
It's
talk.
okay.
Well, not talk. You'll text,
We'll text,
right?
yeah.
Because you're going to have
We'll
to be
sort it
guarding
out.
of your time.
Yep.
But again, don't call. Text.
But 512-758-1008. And extra super bonus points if you're a longtime podcast listener and you know that you've wanted to be in my coaching schedule for a while. You know who you are. But I do especially love our longtime podcast listeners because they know about things like the magic number. They know about goal setting. They know about spokes in the wheel. It's more of less of educating them on what those things are and more of getting them to implement what they already know about, right?
We had someone at the gym, and we live in Puerto Rico.
This is a great story.
We had someone at the gym. We live in Puerto Rico. One of the trainers that we, frankly, he taught us to do kettlebells and whatnot. Manuel. But we've helped him set up some of his financial stuff and things like this. And he just came up to me and he said, I asked him, how many clients do you have now? And he had like 5 clients in the morning. He's working till 7:30. He has private clients all the time. I think he's $50 or $75 an hour or something.
And he's got group sessions as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he had no clients when we originally talked to him. We created a little mini business plan with him, which he's always been very grateful for, and how to handle his money and build business and the rest of it. Anyway, he comes up to me today and he goes, I asked him how many clients, and he told us, and that was just today. And he goes, I am doing what I don't want to do when I don't want to do it at the highest level.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. Okay, so if you're like him and you've been a longtime fan and you're ready to go to the next level, even if you're an existing Premier coaching client or maybe even a VIP coaching client and you're would like to be considered to be part of Julie's schedule, 512-758-1008. In the meantime, have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.